Okay, let's go. We have a video for a $900 set. If you are a subscriber to this channel, go ahead and comment below. If you are also subscribed to the unboxing channel, this is going to go to somebody in the comments below. Somebody's going to win something today. I fell behind, but everybody that got their stuff got it already. So we'll start the train rolling again today. Thank you guys for your support. Despite what I'm about to say about this, which isn't going to be very sweet, it's more related to its price. Before I continue, one of my favorite rappers of all time just did the Super Bowl while my favorite team, the Philadelphia Eagles, basically curb stomped Patrick Mahomes and the evil empire, the new New England Patriots. Like, nobody can stop them. So fly, Eagles, fly. So the Eagles won. My man was in the halftime show, and his album should be arriving in a couple days. I got a white one, I got a regular one, and then I got a blue one, and the blue one's going to go right there because he basically took the torch from Tupac. Now let's get down to this set. This is a set of wireless earphones, TWS. It's called the Geekfly Legend 6. And when I did the unboxing, I noticed that this is a ridiculously large amount of just space for no good reason. Forget about like Save the Planet, which you really shouldn't forget about, but that stuff aside, this is just kind of like a curbside mental gimmick where they put stuff at the cash register that you don't really need, but you're just about to buy stuff and you're like, I think I'll grab that. They do that intentionally, and they do it for people like me that say, oh, sparkly colors, I put that in there too, and while they're putting up the register. This isn't a very good indication. Let's take a look at the frequency response graph. Excuse the table, I got a lot of stuff going on. It is really greatly elevated bass. I will say that it doesn't sound as elevated as the graph would indicate, but it's clearly elevated. And that my target is probably one of the bassiest of all the reviewers, and this has got a lot of, this is like Empire Ears Legend X type of stuff. Let me see if I can get that. Let me see if I can get Empire Ears in here. Oh wow, that's really close. That's really close all the way around. Wow. They sound nothing alike. Now this is using I'm looking at photographs up here, 2BA, 2PZT, and 2 plus 2 10mm planar. It's got 2 DDs. Doesn't sound like that. Let's go ahead and talk about the music replay. And you can go ahead and check out the conclusion if you want to go ahead and skip. I'll put chapters in this. In the low end, 808 drops, something like what I'm listening to right now, like a GNX track, which is like Soundwave, and also Taylor Swift's producer. The production's actually excellent, though it's kind of lo-fi compared to some Kendrick stuff. The 808 drops on this, Public Enemy, Ghetto Boys, Nas, a lot of stuff in the 90s. Sounds fantastic. God, what's the name of that one? Never mind, I'll move along. The 808 drops actually sound pretty good and potent, but there's something kind of lacking there, and it's interesting because this doesn't have mini drivers, so those two DDs can't be side by side. I think they're coaxial, which means that they're sharing the same. It's like one on top of the other, and it's in what would look like one shell if you just were to open it up and look at it, because the size of the shell would tell me that, and I don't think it's two different physical drivers. Maybe two different diaphragms. But it reminded me of the B-Lon with the micro driver, because it doesn't sound as bassy as that Target would indicate. So 808s sound fine, but they're lacking some slam or slap. Some people call it slap. It doesn't really hit. It doesn't hit as hard as the Empire Ears. It doesn't hit as hard as a lot of sets that I've heard recently. So but it's fine. But I did expect more because of that tuning. As we get into 4 and 5 string bass guitar, this is where it has a kind of... Oh, before I continue, let me talk about the connection. Pairing this with my iPhone Pro 16 Max, this phone right here, was the hardest of the TWSs that I've ever done with any of my phones. In the past like 3 years, I'm not sure what was going on with it, but I was having a tough time pairing it, and it has fallen out, like the connection when I'm not very far away. So it's a $900 set. If you win, congrats, because it should be like a few $100s, but you'll be getting it for free. It was sent to me for free, and then it will go to you for free. Let's continue. The bass guitar sounds not really better than the 808 drops. It's got a lo-fi sound to it. That's probably the best way I can describe it without starting to make up words off the top of my head. It doesn't sound really dynamic. There's nothing, I think, wrong, because the treble doesn't seem outrageous. The overtones and harmonics don't seem to be a problem with the instrument. It just doesn't sound sharp and crisp, like the snap of the string is not quite there. As we get into Bonham's kick drum, this, interestingly, out of the three, because this is usually like the 808 drop, like it'll sound pretty much, if it's great, it's great, if it's bad, it's bad. The Bonham kick drum actually sounds pretty good on this. That has great authority like it's supposed to, so there's no issues right there. So in the bass, it's a semi-lo-fi experience, and using it with my phone, again, iPhone Pro Max 16, so it's the most recent. I don't know if that's why, but I had some issues there. And I don't think it's user issues, because I've got a lot of wireless stuff, and I haven't had any problems like that. So the low end is it's okay. It's definitely going to be too much for a lot of people. It's literally like Legend X without the slam. As we get into the mids, vocals, male and female, stuff like Chris Cornell, Lane Staley, Nina doing the cover of Blondie, Heart of Glass. This really isn't a vocal set. That elevated low mid bass, which let's say about 100 hertz to, this goes all the way to 1K. That whole area being lifted makes female vocals sound very, what I call heated, warmed up, not natural, not clean. It's the opposite of something like the Variations or stuff like that, or even the Deuce, where it's tucked in there and it gives it, it's almost a thin brittleness. This is the absolute opposite. It's a very warm. The problem is that if there's any other instruments going on at the same time, like a bass guitar or the rhythm section, which theoretically should be kind of always going along because they're the timekeepers of the track for what I listen to, and it gets in the way all the time. The bass line, the drums are always kind of blending and souping up the vocals, because the vocals are kind of right there with the bass. It's there's no space, is what I'm saying. As we move into overtones and harmonics, this graph doesn't indicate. Let me go ahead and take out I'll just leave it there. The yellow one is the one we're talking about. There's really nothing wrong with it. I think that a lot of that 8K might be related to the measurement device. This is my good mic, not the bad one that I had to redo some measurements for. Cymbals, rides, crashes, electric guitars with or without acoustic, with or without distortion pedals. Keyboards, the ELO greatest hits being a citation, because that is just such an intense listen. There's not a problem there. In fact, that would probably be the best part of it. So this would be probably good for people that want a long listen and aren't consumed with details, like you want every bit of detail. If you're really into the vocals being pristine, which a lot of stuff I like doesn't really do that because I'm a bass head, you're definitely not going to want this. But if you're kind of a bass head, or you listen to a lot of lo-fi stuff, or you have a lot of EDM, trip hop, hip hop, and you really just, you want to focus on the beat and the lyrics as long as you can. It's not horrible, but for $900, I kind of got the idea that when this was delivered in a box like this, that this is kind of, yeah, I don't know. That's justifying a $900 ask for a set that doesn't really have any radical. It looks stunning. It looks very beautiful. So if you get it, congrats to you. They're not really doing anything that I think that warrants the price that they're asking, though that looks like they're trying to make it look like it's an expensive set with the box. So I appreciate them for sending it out to me. I'm sure that this is why a lot of companies won't send me stuff. They have no idea what I'm going to say. And I'm also going to give your thing to somebody else. So I'm not going to sell it. I'm just going to give it to a winner, and I'll announce it probably within a week, because it's an expensive set. And I won't do it to Patreons, because I think that they're asking $900, but its actual value is around $600. And I don't really think that most of them would probably be interested in it. They want the big dollar stuff, so it'll go to people that support the channel. Let me go ahead and rank it up. Is it dumpster fire? No. Hope it was free. For somebody that comments below this video, it actually is going to be free. Coping is working. Kind of, yeah, because I never looked at the Legend X, and then when I looked at that and saw it, I thought, okay, there's like people who love that set, but then I'm thinking about the problem with the bass. That's not the Legend X had legit That's a lot of bass that this TWS has. I don't even know if it's advertised as a set for bass heads, but it pretty much is. But kind of coping. Competes with its peers. I don't think so. I think there's a lot of TWSs that you can buy for $200, $300, $400 from brands like, God, JBL, all kinds of companies. The Galaxy Buds. There's a lot of stuff out there that's a lot cheaper that sounds a lot better. And some of them use planars and BAs and all kinds of driver mixes like they use in regular wired IEMs. So I don't think it competes with its peers. I'm going to put between Coping is Working and Competes with its peers. This is my final score. So remember, go ahead and comment below. It is a beautiful looking set, and you might totally fall in love with it, because this is definitely for somebody that likes low end. And if you just want to chill, the length of how long this charge lasts, I'm not really sure, because 2 or 3 times I didn't want to run it all the way down. I went and charged it back up, so I don't know. It lasted me 4 hours, no problem, but I don't know what the battery life is, but I'm sure somebody else can tell you that. That's it. I'm out of here. Thank you again to Geekfly for sending this to me. Yeah, I'm just going to move along. Congrats to the Eagles, Kendrick Lamar, A minor, the whole Superdome. Do they still call it the Superdome? Yelling that out. That was a pretty classic moment. And then he called him up by name. Just that little short man is quite the savage, isn't he? Yes, he is. Good days, good days. And I am out.